Nestled in the northernmost reaches of England, Northumberland beckons travellers with its diverse landscapes and rich history. This captivating county offers a unique blend of rugged charm and serene beauty, where ancient remnants of the Roman Empire stand alongside wind-swept coastlines, the largest concentration of castles anywhere in England, charming towns and villages, and a beautiful national park. You join us right at the beginning of a new travel series exploring some of the incredible sights and historical attractions during a week-long first-time visit to this part of England. Our travels are compiled over several episodes, moving base a few times to get a broad feel for the whole county and sharing as much as we can to entice you to visit this part of England. Before we begin our adventure in this video, here is a taste of what's to come within the first few episodes. Embleton, a charming, tranquil coastal village, will serve as our initial haven. We'll settle into the endearing Rose Cottage, nestled in the heart of this quaint village, offering the perfect blend of coziness and convenience. Just a stone's throw away lies the rugged coastline, accessed via farming fields and windswept sandy dunes. Here we'll breathe in the invigorating salty air and discover hidden gems amongst the neighbouring fishing villages. Venturing further afield, our days out will embrace the captivating coastline, offering a wealth of charming coastal towns and villages to explore. Alnmouth, a former bustling port, still bearing the imprints of its maritime heritage. Golden sandy beaches, rolling dunes and enchanting streets, this spellbinding destination is not to be missed. Warkworth, a delightful village steeped in history, boasts an array of architectural treasures, including the majestic ruins of a castle once held by the powerful Percy family. Its historical significance and picturesque charm make it a true gem of Northumberland. All these wonderful places are just a few that we've lined up over the next few weeks, so make sure you are subscribed and following us on socials for extra photos and information relating to Northumberland. Without further ado, let's jump right back to the start of our trip, shortly after we arrived at Newcastle Airport and picked up our hire car. We are on our way to climb a lighthouse, but just a few miles from the airport, whilst looking on a map, we noticed the strange figure of a naked woman. This is Northumberlandia, which sounds like a theme park, but is a unique piece of public art set in 48 acres of community park that have become known as the Lady of the North. There is free parking on site, a cafe and toilets as you walk through the wooded area to reach the art form. It graces the landscape near Cramplington as a testament to the harmonious blend of art and environmental restoration. The idea of this monumental landform sculpture originated from the reclamation of the adjacent Shotton surface coal mine. It serves as a poignant reminder of the region's industrial past, while symbolising its commitment to a sustainable future. Renowned artist and architect Charles Jenks designed it. Functioning as a powerful mitigation tool, the sculpture offsets the ecological impact of mining activities, transforming a once barren site into a thriving public park. Its vast grounds welcomes visitors to explore, relax and reconnect with nature. Various paths guide visitors through different sections of the female form represented in the sculpture. Whilst it primarily appears as a set of graceful sweeping curves and interlocking shapes, occasionally human features become discernible. At the head, chest, hip and knee, there are viewpoints and resting places. This feature greets you at the top of her forehead, the eye of the universe, a bronze hand pointing to the sky. From the top of her head is the highest point on the site at 100 feet high.
It's very peaceful here. It's still quite early actually. The cafe and toilets don't open till 10 o'clock, but you can come here from dawn to dusk basically. And at this time of day, I think it's just about 9:30 in the morning at the moment. Very quiet, couple of dog walkers. You have the place virtually to yourself. And it's lovely just walking around and going up the spiral trails to each of the mounds here on the artwork. Really, really nice.
We have reached the jagged coastline just outside Whitley Bay. Ahead of us is the small island of St Mary's, on which stands the beacon that warned ships of hazardous rocks in the area. Parking is £2.40 for 2 hours with a card or cash. So the causeway is tidal, so you do need to check before you come here just to make sure you can actually cross to the lighthouse. And the lighthouse is open, I think, from about 10:30 until 4 o'clock. So we're making our way over there now. We should get in and be able to go up the 137 steps to the top. Of course, if you forget to check, you can still come and enjoy the area around the causeway with a walk along the seawall should it not be possible to cross. There are grasslands, wetlands and tidal habitats to explore, along with diverse bird life and at times even seals to catch a glimpse of. During low tide, the causeway creates lots of rock pools, offering children and adults a miniature world of hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Small fish, tiny crabs and snails and worms play a waiting game to be released back into the sea. The earliest known inhabitants of the island were likely hermits who enjoyed the solitude. The monks of Tynemouth Priory built a small chapel on the island dedicated to St Helen in around 1090 AD. To help mariners, the monks maintained a lantern on the chapel tower to warn passing boats of the rock dangers. These lights were known as St Mary's lights. Why they were named this I was unable to find out, but it's believed that this is where the island got its name, which was passed to the current lighthouse. In 1799, the island was used as a quarantine location for Russian soldiers who had developed cholera whilst travelling south to fight Napoleon. No remains of the chapel still exist, but it's thought that the fisherman's cottage built in 1855 might have used some of the stonework. The roof was originally thatched using grasses from the headland. A chap called George Ewan from Aberdeen had the blessing of the landowner to build the cottage, primarily for salmon fishing, but when the laws changed, making it more restrictive in the 1860s, Ewan was forced to supplement his income, so extended the cottage and opened an inn called the Freemasons' Arms, locally known as the Square and Compass. During digging to extend the cottage and when the lighthouse keeper's home foundations were dug, monks' stone coffins and human remains were discovered. The bones possibly belonged to the Russian cholera victims. The bones were put in the cellar and visitors of the inn could view them for a small fee. Entering the lighthouse, we paid our £4.30 fee and viewed some of the exhibits telling the history of the lighthouse. Trinity House is a centuries-old charity dedicated to safeguarding shipping and seafarers. They commissioned the work to begin in 1896. Here are some lovely black and white photos showing its progress over the 2 years of construction. There was no causeway back then, so building materials had to be hauled across with carts, navigating the bumpy rocks at low tide. Some 750,000 bricks were used to build the 40-metre high structure. The highlight of our visit was undoubtedly the climb to the top. Ascending the 137 spiral steps was an exhilarating experience and makes for some good photos as you climb the ever-shrinking spiral staircase. Passing others coming down is quite intimate. Now you might be thinking it could do with a lick of paint. Shortly after our visit at the end of May, the lighthouse closed for 12 weeks to have a new paint job and various restoration work, so it should be sparkling white again very soon. At the top, a panoramic view of the coastline unfolds before your eyes. The sweeping vista encompasses the golden sands of Whitley Bay and the bustling harbour of Tyne. The first paraffin light was lit on the 31st of August 1898 and would burn bright for 79 years until Trinity House modernised all its lighthouses, bringing in electrification. St Mary's would be the very last to be modernised, and an electric lantern was switched on the 28th of September 1977. This was swiftly followed by full automation, meaning the role of the lightkeeper was obsolete by 1982. The lighthouse served to warn and guide ships of danger for 86 years, but was completely decommissioned in 1987 when modern navigation aids took over. Just a mile up the coast lies Seaton Sluice, a charming village with a hidden history far grander than its quaint presence suggests. Once a bustling hub of industry, this unassuming haven was the epicentre of coal mining, glass making and salt exports that fueled the nation and reached across Western Europe. Originally known as Hartley Pans, the village thrived from the ancient practice of salt harvesting, where seawater was evaporated in massive coal-fired pans as early as 1236. However, it was the visionary Delaval family who truly transformed Seaton Sluice into an industrial powerhouse. They had been in Seaton since the Norman conquest, owning the village and thousands of acres of land rich in coal. They amassed immense wealth from this industry, constructing their family seat just a mile from the harbour. Whilst not on our itinerary, you might enjoy visiting Seaton Delaval Hall to learn more about this flamboyant family. This magnificent property was completely reimagined by renowned architect Sir John Vanbrugh, who also designed such masterpieces as Castle Howard and Blenheim Palace. In the mid-18th century, Sir John Delaval inherited the local coal mine and salt market and recognised the harbour was holding back export trade as it was too shallow and prone to silting up, meaning larger vessels could not be filled to capacity in dock. Previous Delavals had tried to improve the harbour with sluice gates to hold back the tide when needed, but John decided a better solution was in order. He spearheaded a daring engineering feat to gouge through the rock and create a second entrance into the harbour, taking 3 years to complete. This is the cut, or gut as it's called locally. It would have had sluice gates at either end. Large vessels could enter, and the deep water maintained by closing the sluice while they were loaded or unloaded with goods. The 900 feet, 274 metre channel carved through the sandstone opened the village to larger vessels and propelled Delaval's profits to new heights. The boom didn't stop there. Alongside coal and salt, the Delavals ventured into glass making, and it was Thomas, brother of John, who established the Hartley Bottle Works, which quickly became England's largest, producing a staggering 1.7 million bottles annually. The village's skyline was dominated by 6 towering cone furnaces, monuments to its industrial prowess. Fate took a tragic turn in 1862 with the devastating Hartley Pit disaster. The single shaft of the colliery, serving as the sole entrance and exit, became a death trap when a broken pumping engine beam blocked it, suffocating 204 miners trapped below. The disaster sent shockwaves through Seaton Sluice, leaving a legacy of grief and economic hardship. Yet it also ignited a revolution in mining safety, leading to the landmark Mines Act of 1862, mandating multiple shafts for all new collieries. The closure of the Hartley Pit and the rise of modern methods and overseas competition dealt a final blow to the village's industrial reign. The bottle works closed in 1871, and by 1896 the iconic brick cones were demolished, signalling the end of an era. Today, Seaton Sluice stands as a tranquil reminder of its vibrant past. Visitors can stroll along the harbour, envisaging its former glory, walk their dogs on the beach, and perhaps raise a pint at one of the welcoming pubs, toasting a history both triumphant and tragic.
There's quite a nice pub here called the King's Arms. Looks like it was built, what does it say, 1764? I think it's time for us to go and have a drink.
The King's Arms, the oldest pub in the village, sits just above the cut and is a real focal point within the harbour. It originally served as the Harbour Overseer's House before becoming a pub. A sign says 177 ships passed through the cut in 1777, carrying 48,000 tonnes of coal. I wonder if that means in one day. Seems a huge number. The pub had just opened when we popped in and serves food as well as drinks, so I'm sure it's a popular spot.
Cheers.
Rocky Island sits on the opposite side of the cut, and here we find the Watch House, built in 1880. This was home to the Seaton Sluice Volunteer Life-Saving Company, assisting the Coast Guard in rescue efforts along the dangerous coastline until 1990. There is a small museum showcasing the history of the Watch House and the brave volunteers who saved lives from shipwrecks. Other reminders of the past history include the Tower House, built between 1720 and 1750. It's attributed to Sir John Vanbrugh, but no definitive evidence confirms his involvement. The building served as His Majesty's Revenue Office and the Harbour Master's house. The Waterford Arms appeared here in 1899, replacing the brewery that supplied beer to the ships and the glass workers at the bottle works. It's been fascinating visiting this delightful coastal village, but it's time to move on as we continue to make our way north to Embleton and our cosy base for 3 nights. On the way, we drove inland slightly to the market town of Morpeth for a short walk. We parked for free at the Goose Hill car park just outside the town centre. As we head to the bridge, notice the old toll house used to take fees to cross the river. Constructed in the early 19th century, Morpeth's Telford Bridge is named after the renowned Scottish civil engineer Thomas Telford. It is thought he collaborated with the designer John Dobson. The stone bridge, with its elegant series of arches, spans the River Wansbeck and replaced the 13th century old Chantry Bridge, which facilitated transportation and trade during Monmouth's time as a vital coaching stop. The current footbridge was built on the old 13th century piers. The Chantry Chapel beside the old bridge dates back to the medieval period, one of only 4 bridge chapels in England. It served as a place of worship for the town's residents, and the priest could bless passing travellers and collect money for the upkeep of the bridge. It's obscured by large trees planted to commemorate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee in 1897, but here's a photo just after the planting. The Chantry now boasts England's only bagpipe museum. In the late 17th century, Morpeth experienced a devastating fire that destroyed a large number of properties. This occurred in 1689, and many of the buildings were subsequently rebuilt with brick being the preferred material for reconstruction. Its trade history spans centuries, from medieval wool and leatherwork to the bustling 18th century livestock market. The town's economy thrived on local resources and its strategic position. The Great North Road fueled a flourishing coaching trade, while nearby coal mines brought further growth. In modern times, Morpeth has transitioned to retail and tourism. Morpeth's medieval marketplace thrived in the 18th and early 19th centuries as a major livestock hub. Cattle, oxen, lambs and sheep, driven from Scotland and Northumberland, were traded here before reaching larger markets. Commissioned by the 3rd Earl of Carlisle and designed by Sir John Vanbrugh, the town hall was completed in 1714. The Baroque-style building served various purposes and later became the headquarters for the municipal borough in 1835. Devastating fire in 1869 caused significant damage, but the facade was faithfully reconstructed to match the original design. The clock tower is a prominent landmark, constructed between 1604 and 34. It was built with recycled medieval stone, giving it an appearance much older than its actual age. The stone is believed to have come from the nearby ruined Newminster Abbey that was dissolved in 1537. It stands 60 feet high, with walls 3 feet 6 inches thick. The tower served various purposes, including a jail and a meat store. The Holland Fountain, a grey polished granite structure on the corner of Market Place, was erected in 1885 by Thomas Holland in memory of his wife Mary and their shared affection for the town. Let's head back across the river now and head to the Carlisle Park. Ahead of us is the Morpeth Courthouse, designed by John Dobson and completed in 1828. It originally served as the entrance block for a prison in the main courthouse. It later became solely a magistrates' court until 1980. The building was transformed into luxury serviced apartments. Opened in 1929 by the Earl of Carlisle, Carlisle Park has blossomed into a multi-award-winning haven. Over the years, additions like the pavilion, floral clock and the William Turner Garden, dedicated to the renowned Morpeth-born herbalist, have enriched the park's landscape. A unique feature is the statue of Emily Wilding Davison, a prominent suffragette. Although born in London, Davison had strong ties to Morpeth through her mother and was a frequent visitor to the area. The statue serves as a reminder of her dedication to women's rights and her connection to the town. On the 4th of June 1913, during the Epsom Derby, Davison ran onto the track in front of King George V's horse whilst carrying a suffragette flag. She was trampled by the horse and died 4 days later of her injuries. As we wander the paths, a short climb brings us out at what's left of the castle. Morpeth Castle was initially a motte and bailey structure built in the 11th century on the Har Hill, which we didn't really get a good shot of earlier. It was destroyed and rebuilt multiple times through the centuries, and today the most prominent feature and all that really remains is the 14th century gatehouse. What a cracking start to our Northumberland adventure today has been. We've got one more picture-perfect coastal village to explore before settling in at Embleton. It's so gorgeous and charming that we've dedicated an entire video to it next week. Trust us, you won't want to miss the beautiful village of Alnmouth, which helped feed the nation 250 years ago before a disaster changed everything. Make sure you're subscribed and following us on social media to keep up to date on our travels and the next video. Thanks for watching the Memory Seekers, and see you next time.